We are wrapping up a pretty boring week in the markets, but there are some fun things to talk about. We're going to get into it. I'm a little heated at the moment around some terrible decisions by the Biden administration, but we'll get to that momentarily. As we started up today, hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, drop a comment. Nothing we say is financial advice. We are not financial advisors. We're a couple of guys who love following the markets, giving our takes on it, hopefully helping you get some wins. But please do your own research before any buying or selling decisions. Kevin, I called it on Monday. I said with no inflation reports this week, it was going to be a boring week in the market. And as we sit here today on this Friday, all of the three indices are between 0.03% and 0.13% up. If you look on the week, everything is just things are down a little bit, but it's pretty flat and boring. I think it's going to remain that way until next Friday when we get the next PCE reading. Week after that, we get a Fed meeting. So things are going to heat back up, but that was a good time to kind of try to dive into some other data, see what we can look at. We're going to talk about the housing market here in a little bit because we got some news that came out on the 18th that we're going to discuss. But how are you feeling on this Friday about the markets? We see crypto, dumping again today. What are your thoughts right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's been pretty boring in the TradFi markets unless you look at individual stocks. Like Tesla, obviously, is one that's been one to keep an eye on because there's at least there's some movement in Tesla. For the major indices, it's been pretty sideways. It's been boring all week, but you know, movement up or down, that's exciting. At least we know that there's something happening in the markets. But we're seeing volumes extremely low right now, and that's also part of the reason why we're seeing a bit of the pullback in crypto. Volumes are extremely low right now, which you don't see in a bull run. So I don't think that that case is 100% foolproof that we are in a bull run. But yeah, I'm feeling pretty great. Crypto has obviously been keeping me entertained, and we got the weekly close today and the weekly close on Sunday for crypto and TradFi markets today. So tons to look forward to, and then again, hopefully next week we get some life in this TradFi market.
Yeah, if we see any movement in this TradFi, like maybe in the last half hour, last 45 minutes, as people kind of close out their longs and shorts, maybe we'll see it head in one direction or the other. We are seeing a move up in Amazon today. They announced they're going to be kind of consolidating on the whole food side of things. So going to be decreasing the number of regions they're operating in. They are going to be doing a small amount of layoffs, nothing major. It's like half of 1%. So nothing major, but market's responding positively because cutting back on costs. They hope that means that we're going to see greater returns in the future. Amazon still has a ton of employees, so nothing too worthwhile to mention there. Tesla is up on the day. I mentioned yesterday. It sold off very hard, very fast, so not surprised to see it bounce back a little bit. But yeah, there's not a lot in TradFi to talk about at the moment. Crypto, we saw it yesterday, and it broke through those levels that we thought, and it's going to close down significantly on the week. We'll get to the charts. I want to talk about this housing plan. In our show notes, I put Biden administration dumb fucking housing plan. So what is going to go into effect May 1st? That's the official title of it. What's going to go into effect May 1st? Home buyers with credit scores of 680 or higher will have higher mortgage payments on a relative basis to those who have lower credit scores. So the Biden administration, in their infinite wisdom, is deciding, hey, let's give people with lower credit scores who clearly do not plan as well, aren't as smart with their money, are going to not pay their bills as frequently as those higher credit scores. Let's give them a break. Let's go ahead and make it easier for them to get a mortgage, because that's never gone bad before. We've never seen this play out terribly. Also, a fun little thing, home buyers who make down payments of 15 to 20% will be hit with the highest fees. So those who have been setting money aside, budgeting, you're going to get to pay more than those who haven't been doing that, because we really want to make sure that people who make bad decisions have a better time and better opportunity to get a mortgage. Does that sound like a good idea to you, Kevin?
That sounds pretty anti-socialist of you, JWeb, but no, it doesn't sound like a great idea to me, especially considering, how I feel about this market right now. This is pretty much just mirroring 2008, and this could not be more reminiscent of 2008, just giving people who aren't going to make payments on these homes the opportunity to have these homes, have these mortgages, and You said it best before the show. These are people who are not paying their credit card bills. These are people who are just racking up debt like crazy. And if they can't do that, what makes you think that giving them, I don't know, $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 loan to get a house is going to be a great idea? I don't know. That doesn't sound like a good idea to me. And I don't know what to say. It's just, I'm actually not dumbfounded. I'm not surprised, but at the same time, it's like you're just taking advantage of people and they don't even know it.
Yeah, you said before the show, and it's a good call. They're using this as a tactic to try to get votes. Biden is probably going to be announcing his God, I can't believe I'm saying this. His re-election campaign. I can't believe we're going to have to go through this again. Next week is what it's sounding like is going to happen, which is just really awesome, just in time for this. So, trying to score political points by setting people up to fail. I come from the belief of everyone has to take responsibility for their decisions. But at the end of the day, this is harming people who have worked hard to get their credit scores up, to save for a house, and you're penalizing them and you're giving a break to people who have been financially irresponsible, most likely. Everyone goes through shit. I get it. But this is just as dumb as it gets in my book. We have credit, we have debt at all-time highs by a wide amount. A lot of that amongst millennials such as myself. Those are the first-time home buyers they're targeting here. You then, with that all-time debt, have incredibly high interest rates that are going to go up again at this next Fed meeting and most likely stay there through the rest of the year. So people are going to keep accumulating more and more debt, and we're going to make it easier for them to get a home. So my plan right now is to just continue to stack as much cash on the side as possible, because there's no way this ends well. Like, we'll look back a year from now, 18 months from now, and be like, that was your opportunity to start putting money aside to buy a home when the housing market crashes, because it's going to happen. The people who had that in place and were ready to go in 2008, who were able to jump on the opportunity to buy foreclosed homes on the cheap, have just raked in money, because the housing market will bounce back eventually, but it's gonna get set on fire before it recovers, and I want to be there for that fire sale.
I couldn't agree more. 2 points to that. Number one, obviously, it's a lot easier to make your credit score go down than it is to go higher. Trust me. And number two, for a lot of people who are, who are probably going to be on board for this, like you and I were talking about, it's going to be people who are really probably younger. They're probably going to be like my age, maybe even your age, like millennials. Like, again, that seems to be more the progressive leaning group. And again, it sounds great in theory, for sure. Maybe, I don't know. I don't think it does. But point is, when you look at this, it's like these people don't really remember or recall 2008. And if they were, there was probably, they weren't homeowners at the time. They're probably in college or in diapers at that point. So now 15 years later, we're looking at these people who are going to be, on board for this. That might be a huge point of Biden's reelection campaign. Yeah, sure, they might vote for this. Like, this is a great idea. But at the end of the day, history, sometimes it repeats itself. And this one is, word for word, it seems like it's going to repeat itself. I don't see a way how this ends up not being any more, maybe even more catastrophic than 2008. And that might just be the perma bear in me. But I think realistically, from a macroeconomic standpoint, this is arguably one of the stupidest things you could possibly do with inflation, as we're trying to bring inflation down. And at the same time, we're fighting high interest rates, like you said. And, let's be honest, there's going to be a massive drop in the market. It's only a matter of time. We're kind of seeing it right now. If we look at the charts, those death crosses are super close. This doesn't end well in any fucking way.
Crypto just took a fat dump. ETH wicked down to 1830. It's now fighting to stay above 1840. There's one more thing I want. Oh, yes. The last thing I want to touch on for this federal housing agency's push, the federally backed home mortgage companies, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, will enact the loan level price adjustments. So we are getting them back involved in this.
Oh my gosh. This couldn't get any fucking better, man. This is the Big Short part 2. Like 100%.
Yeah, and you say it could be worse. I think you're onto it because like we've already talked about commercial real estate is
Yep.
due for a reckoning. Now we're going to see residential real estate due for a reckoning,
I have
all
chills.
happening around the same time. Like, dude, it is cash is king is going to be a saying for a while here.
Dude, I have
Because
chills
like
so bad right now.
it's going to get so ugly and like man, all the moon boys out there, all the people saying that, the recession is priced in, you have no idea what's coming next. Like, it's not pretty, it's going to
This
get so bad.
you and me are laughing at it because it's almost like comical how bad this fucking situation is going to be, and no one is expecting it. And again, sometimes that's why it's great to be an outsider, because when you're too involved on the inside, you don't see things that other people see. And at this point, everyone is just like, oh no, I'm just going to trust what everyone else is saying. I trust these people on Twitter. I trust these guys in suits. Let's put it this way: nobody in the fucking markets knows what the hell is going on. All right, no one from you to me to him to them, no one knows exactly what's going to happen. I think we have a better idea of it because we look at data and the macro and tons of other information, and we kind of weigh our assessments based off of that.
Historical context.
Exactly.
Like,
But some of these people on CNBC, like yesterday, I wanted to punch the fucking screen because now I'm getting heated, but I wanted to punch the screen because this guy is like, when do we bottom? I think this is when we bottom. There's no landing, crash landing. Well, isn't a no landing a fucking crash landing? But point is, he was just going crazy, like saying that the market's bottom. We saw that it's only gone up a tick. It came down a little bit this week, but earnings are bad, but they'll bounce back. It's like cut the bullshit. All right, this thing is not getting any fucking better. If we have to be this blunt about it, we will be this blunt about it. All right, the dollar looks like it's about to fucking tear. I'm looking at oil, and sure, it has a little bit of a pullback. We're going into the summer months. All right, we got to have the summer blend for that oil. For gasoline, we have to fucking have transporting all this shit. We have Russia, who's talking about some type of invasion in the UK now. So there's tons of stuff going on in the macroeconomics, and then we're going to just keep spending nonstop, and we have the debt ceiling, and Powell is most likely just begging the US government at this point to stop spending fucking money, but they are not doing that. And, this is just going to blow up in the faces of everyone. We're already seeing it with the mortgage. So now people who are paying their mortgages, who have good credit, are now going to have to take on more because they're going to start giving out loans to people who have bad credit or less credit, lower scores. This is just another game of just like, we're going to reallocate funds or taxes to another group, or we're going to take it from someone else who has it, and we're just going to try and put Band-Aids on bullet wounds at this point. But it's just absolutely insane. This is not going to get better. All right. And like you said, cash is king. There's tons of opportunities that are coming, but this is like almost fucking like idiotic how bad this is going to get.
I had some more great timing this morning. I sold more ETH when it was over 1900. I'm feeling good about that right now, obviously.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah, I mean, I take like what I say on the show. I know we don't get a ton of views, but we've been pretty damn good with this market so far. And I follow through with what I say. Like when I'm saying I'm stacking cash, like that's what I'm doing. Like I'm trying to move out of positions I don't think are going to be worthwhile in the short term. I still have my long term holdings. That's stuff I'm not going to touch because I don't want to deal with the taxes. But there are some things where I'm just like, I'm going to take my opportunities. I want to accumulate more tokens on the cheap, and so many people right now are like freaking out because they have no dry powder left to buy the dips. Like they are over leveraged, they're over invested, they don't have the ability to buy when the market pulls back, and that is the last thing I want. Like I want, because I'm ready for the blood, I'm ready for the fear, I'm ready for the pain, and when that comes, I'm doing everything I can to stay clear-headed. And when people are at max fear, that is when I want to be buying, because I know we will bounce back eventually. It just might take a while, and I'm prepared to wait that out longer than most people.
Oh yeah, 100%. Right before the show, I tweeted out saying I don't really care if we get a bull market, in the next 2 weeks. Like this, you can make money both ways, and I'm absolutely happy stacking cash right now, and at the same time having my short positions, which are doing pretty decent right now. I'm happy that we're putting their money to work in the right ways to hopefully accumulate more, so that we can actually benefit and have our money do less work when it comes to the bull run. Again, that's the main goal. You don't want to have your money in the entire market. I mean, if you want to, that's fine, but the point is you want to make as much money with the least amount of work as possible, and that's usually getting in early and getting out early. At least to the point where there's a pretty good pump, and then you don't have to worry about buying in so late that if it does decide to dump, you're holding these bags for long period of time where you have to take significant losses. Like it's pretty easy just going back and forth. And right now we're seeing tons of people, and it's really bad. And Tesla's probably one of the biggest examples of this, who are just buying these lower lows and these lower highs. They keep buying these low highs, and we've seen it throughout, from all the way from the top to the bottom, where it just comes right back down, and it's going to keep doing that. And we're at a place where people are, like you said, are running out of dry powder. Make sure you're stacking cash. I can't tell you actually to do that because I'm not a financial advisor, but you don't understand how important it's going to be when you look 5 years back from now that you were stacking cash when everyone else was going crazy about all these altcoin pumps, Pepe being up 20% one day, and then today the futures are down 20%. So it's really just a time where you have to just reasonably think long term, but at the same time, take action right now. Don't be just sitting on your hands and like wishing a bull market to come, because I can't guarantee you that's going to happen.
I think there's also a thought through people's head that like, oh, I can't sell this dip because ETH just went from 2K to 1850 in a few days. Well, what if you think it's going to 1200? Then why wouldn't you be selling this dip? Like, just because it's dipped somewhat. Yeah, I know you think it's going much lower than that, but let's not go extreme. Okay, let's just take like a number that's like not too extreme. But seriously, like, there's no reason why like you still can't sell something now if you think that it's going to keep going down, which I do. So as I continue to get hands on some more ETH through some sales of other assets, I will continue to move some of that into cash, because I got no expectation of ETH remaining in the $1,800 range, a whole lot longer, or the 17 or 16. Like, it's going lower. The markets are way out over their skis, and it's going to keep heading down in the near term is my take. So that is how I'm going to act.
100%. When it's going down, you know who the first people screaming timber will be. You and me. And Pitbull.
And Kesha.
Can't forget Kesha.
Yeah, come on, man. She's the real star of that song. Let's keep it real.
I've seen Pitbull. I haven't seen Kesha live, but Pitbull, class act. Love that guy.
Dale. Love it. Us bald guys with beards, we gotta stick together. So, all aboard the Pitbull train. Anything you want to look at chart wise as we get to the weekly close? We got 43 minutes left in the TradFi markets for the week. There's still not a whole lot happening in this last hour. Still pretty flat. The main things is just crypto. BTC down by almost $900 today. ETH down by almost 100. Everything else very red. Hey, look, BTC dominance is slightly up. Who would have thought?
Yep.
And the VIX, dude. The other thing is the VIX.
Oh yeah,
we're seeing this, and the VIX is still sub 17.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just you wait until the VIX goes back up into the 30s, maybe 40s even. Like, it's happening. It has to happen.
This S&P is gonna get so fucking rocked. Like, even some of my estimates, I was like 3,200 for the S&P for the longest. Like, I was talking about that like pre-FTX. Like 3,200 seems like where the S&P will go. I don't know, man. Maybe I'm being a little extra bearish, but I think it can go a little bit lower than that at this point. This VIX is just like a slingshot, fully pulled all the way back. And I'm just waiting for the day I wake up and this thing is similar to how we saw it when the, Silicon Valley Bank collapsed and shot up to, what was it at one point? Like almost 30 on the VIX. Let's see, height of that was 30.81. And we saw that in one day.
What? We're going to see it go back to, I think, 48.
I'm okay with
see
that.
The VIX hit 48 again. If I'm looking back at some of the aftershocks from 08, we saw the big spike up to almost 100. I don't think we're going back to that level, but there were aftershocks in the months following that. And, a couple times it hit 48 and a half.
Yeah.
In 2000, what is this?
10.
This is May of 2010.
Yeah.
And it hit that again in August of 2011. So I think maybe.
Yeah, I'll do this. I'll add a line right across, and then I'll make it. What's your favorite color?
Blue.
Blue. Nice. Good color. We're going to go over here, and we're gonna keep that there, and we're gonna wait for that thing to hit that, and we'll be like, JWeb called it, because I honestly agree that I think this thing is gonna just shoot up one day when you least expect it. And the thing is, we're getting in this like really weird triangle pattern right here, where it's gonna break one way or the other, and it's at 16 right now. I don't fucking think it's gonna go to zero. I think you know what I mean. It's more, there's like a 99% chance it's gonna go flying straight up than going further down from here. So it's just a matter of time. Again, this seems like it's playing out till 2024, but I don't think it's going to play out that long. I think we're going to see some volatility by the end of this year at least. But 48, I think that's totally conservative and definitely reasonable.
Yeah, and people are gonna be like, I didn't think it was gonna happen again. Or like, I'm ready. I'm ready for capitulation, man. We're at that point, I think, in the cycle where people are like, we've seen the worst of it. It can't go down. Who's left to sell? Just you wait, because then we hit that capitulation point where everyone's like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. And that, when I see that, I'm starting to see that a little bit on Twitter. That's where I get a lot of my sentiment from. But when I see that, that's when we empty the cannons, because I'm ready. I'm ready.
Yeah. 100%. Let's look at Tesla, because again, this is mainly about psychology. It's not necessarily where Tesla's going. Yeah, if you do ask me where Tesla's going, that's $64. That's something that I've been saying for months at this point. Just that's around. I think that's a COVID low. No, it's actually, where were we? $64 is, sorry, yeah, right here. So February 2020, around here. So I think that's where we're heading. Definitely plenty of room to that side. So I'll put a little line there so we remember. But I'm going to change it to, I'm not even going to pick my favorite color. I'm just going to use this one, pink. Point is, we're looking at this on the long term, the macro. We can see that when it topped out, people were buying the dip down here, right? Came up again, dipped again. So they buy the dip here. Oh yeah, it came down, buy the dip. You're just making lower highs every time. So every time you buy the dip and you don't take profit, you're just losing on this one. All right. And I think tons of people are just losing on it. I have friends who are like, well, I like Tesla, I think it's going to come back. It's like, it definitely might. I don't think Tesla's going to go under. I think it's just going through an extremely hard time right now with the amount of copper that is needed for some of these electric vehicles is insane. And copper, there's a shortage of right now. And that's going to obviously impact Tesla. There's, demand for vehicles right now. If you can't afford a gallon of gas, who in the fuck is going to be able to afford an electric vehicle? Like that mindset doesn't make any sense. So obviously, they're going to see continual, price rejection at some of these levels. Their value is going to go down. It's at 165 right now. I still think there's $100 drop in this one. Again, not financial advice, but it just seems like that's a really strong level of support after shooting up nonstop from where it was back after COVID. And I think that most likely we're going to see this thing come down. People are going to buy the dip again. It's going to just keep doing it until we get to this level. Kathy Wood yesterday bought a shit ton of Tesla. Also put out her projections for the bear and the bull case for Tesla. Bull case, $2,000 a share, or was it $25 a share? $2,500 a share.
I thought it was 2,000. Either way, it's a big number.
Yeah, $1,400 for bear. Best case scenario for bullish, 2,500, and then her like reasonable is 2,000. And she's buying at 160 So again, most of these people don't know what they're doing. And maybe she has so much capital with ARK Investments that they're able to, sit on a little bit of blood for the next year or so. But at the end of the day, it's like these people don't know entry, exit levels. Like these are people that you're listening to, trusting, that are going on these channels and saying, I think the market's going to be fine. They're talking 5 years out. In the immediate time, this is where everyone's going to lose money. Like I don't see anyone who's buying this dip right now who's going to be extremely profitable if they hold on to it for the next 6 months. Obviously, I'm not going to tell you when to take profit, but it's just, I don't see that.
Tesla's going to keep having smaller margins as they have to compete with the prices of all the other EV makers. We've seen, only a handful are eligible for this credit, the $7,500 credit. Like, I think I saw only 10 like EVs are eligible for it due to where they're made, the parts, and also the price of them. Like, I was looking because I'm a pickup truck guy, and I'm going to be up for my lease is up in a year, and so I'd like to get an electric. But god damn, they're expensive. Like the Ford F-150 Lightning, it's like 80K. Like what? No,
Cybertruck.
hell no. I mean, is that ever going to be a thing? Like when are we getting the Cybertruck?
I don't know. I kind of want a Cybertruck. I really do like the design. Also, RoboCop is my favorite fucking movie. So like, I would love to just be playing the soundtrack of that and just driving downtown, like I don't know, Chicago, or Detroit, any of these Midwestern, crime cities. Would love to do that. But what do you call it? Tesla aside, I again, this is we see that weekly on the 50 and the 200. We're getting really close here on the weekly. And I said a few bad weeks is all it takes for this motherfucker to go down. And there's a good chance that this is going to close with the 50 EMA pushing down further closer to the 200. And like we said, it's going to keep happening until we're down around this level. And I think that's this death cross is actually coming a lot sooner than most people expect. So a lot of companies are either putting it in this week, or they put it in 2 weeks ago, or they're putting it in the next few weeks. Really interesting to see how this plays out. But Tesla, that's what I'm seeing. I only want to look at like two more charts real quick because I don't want to, keep everyone too long. Important shit. Bitcoin, because obviously we talk about crypto all the time. We talked about that head and shoulders pattern. I'm going to erase this right now. We'll put it back on at a later date. But I just want to see some of the charts, and this is what I'm seeing right here. This is the weekly. This is a bearish engulfing candle. I mean, this is 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks worth of progress wiped out in one candle. That's pretty impressive. That tells me that we're starting a trend to the downside, most likely. If this closes where it currently is or below this, I mean, all it has to do is close below 28.3, and we're clearly $900 below that right now. Unless you get tons of volume coming in that people are buying, I don't see that changing anytime. I think that we are going to be on a trend to the downside. And will it be impulsive? Will it be similar to the way we came up? I think so. I think it's probably going to be 5 waves like we saw on the way up, come back down. And actually, that's on the weekly. I might even be wrong on that. That might be 3 waves up and then 5 waves down. Either way, I think it's impulsive to the point where we're going to see, this price action draw down to a pretty significant level. And again, I think some of that support, if we're looking on the weekly, is maybe around 25, 26, maybe 25, 26, probably we're going to find some support. Or actually, no, right here. This is where it's going to be. It's going to be 26.54. Yeah, 26,543. That's most likely going to be the next level of support. You might do a little bit of a bounce, then you're going to come back down. And again, we were talking about this one range down here, this red range. That's between 22,000 and 24,300. I think that's where we're going to find, the bottom and then start to form this right shoulder here before we make our true move to the downside. We're just seeing tons of low volume. Look how fast that we got rejected from this area. I don't think there's strength to push up to this. I think this was the local top. We've seen it already. And then if the dollar keeps pushing up, like it's been pretty strong, it hasn't gone below major resistance yet. It's been above it. So I think that Bitcoin's most likely going to take a tumble. But again, we're going to expect little bounces on the way just because it's going to trade that way. But I wouldn't get too excited or too scared with Bitcoin because I do think that there's going to be some type of shoulder where it's going to allow it to bounce to maybe that blue line there, which is, I think, 25,280 if it gets down to this lower range around 22, 23,000.
Okay.
But thing was that we were talking about Bitcoin's bleeding, all the alts are bleeding, but alts are bleeding worse than Bitcoin. So what does that mean for dominance? It's going up. It's going up. It hasn't moved too much to the upside, but if we look on the daily, it's green again today. And this could just play out to the point where it's like, okay, we're nice and oversold right now not even oversold, we're undervalued. And if alts continue to bleed as Bitcoin starts to bleed too, this is definitely going to just push up. Even if Bitcoin starts to pump a little bit and alts don't, this is going to push up and it's just going to make alts bleed more. The biggest lie I think that we've gotten from any crypto influencer is that alt season is here. Because from what I'm seeing in the chart, it's most definitely not here. I don't think we're going to have an alt season until everything is 100% in the shitter.
We had 3 days of alts. We had 2 days of meme coins, and now it's back to down only.
Yeah, that's it's a pretty short season. That's like, I don't know. That's like getting the moon and during an Alaskan summer. It's just very short lived, but definitely don't see alt season being a reality. I mean, fuck, look at Bitcoin right now. It's still dumping as we talk. Like maybe they find some support here on the daily on this 50, but we're oversold on the daily for sure. Could stay there for a few days. I think we're going to bounce up, get rejected at this 28,809 if we really do want to test that. Similar to this, then come back down pretty impulsively. Again, I think the market makers really made you a really good market to see. Shoots up impulsively, trade sideways, collapse of Silicon Valley, shoots up impulsively, trade sideways, shoots up one more time to trick you all into thinking that, it's going to 32, 33K, and then it just comes back down. And it's probably going to do the same shit on all the way down. Yeah, that's the way this game is played. I think people overthink this sometimes, but we are in a manipulated market. Sometimes you just got to follow the money. Gives you all the answers. I think that's what I'm seeing. That's all I got to say on the charts for Bitcoin.
Okay, I think that's a good place for us to wrap it up today. The week has played out pretty much spot on as we thought it would. Literally all the indexes are at 0% movement today.
Nice.
We love it. So, we said it was going to be a boring week there. It was. We said that crypto was going to take a dump at some point. It is. So, we'll take those W's and move on to next week. So we'll be back on Monday looking ahead to what will be a more eventful week in the market. It pretty much has to be. Like, it couldn't get much more boring, but there's still always stuff to look into. So we'll be back Monday, same time, same place. If you have not already, hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, drop a comment, share us out. Any or all of those things help us out tremendously. We really appreciate it. And we'll be back next week. Have a great weekend, everybody. Kev, I'll see you Monday.
Take care, everyone.